Good morning, students. In the last class, we have discussed the detailed explanation of the exercises that are given at the end of the chapter. Today, we will discuss the answers for the questions that are given within the chapter. If you carefully read the textbook, you can find blue colored questions at the end of the completion of a particular topic from this chapter. At the end of every topic of this chapter, blue colored questions are there. Let us discuss the answers for those questions. Okay. First question in page number 128. What is the importance of DNA copying in reproduction? Importance of DNA copying in reproduction. DNA is the blueprint for body design. So, without DNA, the body design cannot be constructed. Therefore, in order the body design of offspring to be constructed, the offspring must contain the DNA copy in their initial cell itself. So, to give a DNA copy to the offspring for the construction of their body design, DNA copying takes place as the basic event during a reproduction in parent organisms. Second question. Variation is beneficial to the species but not necessarily for the individual. Why? Many organisms are present in the population of a species. The total number of organisms of a species is known as population. So many organisms are present in a population. All organisms do not have same variations. They'll have different variations in them. Even if the variations are same to some extent, the structural features of the organisms can be different. So, the benefit provided by the variation differs from one organism to another organism. As benefits are different from one organism to another organism because of variations, the survival advantages of these organisms also differ among the different organisms of the same species. Hence, in a given adverse situation, individually some organisms survive and remaining organisms die. Whereas, in total, if we observe, at least some organisms are survived. So, as a species, the species of that particular organism is surviving, whereas individually some of the members of that species died. So, variation necessarily may not be beneficial to the individual organisms, but it is beneficial to the species. So, as a species, survival chances are there because of variations. Whereas, as an individual, survival chances may or may not be there because of variations. In page number 133, some 5 questions are there. Let us see. How does binary fission differ from multiple fission? Binary fission causes a unicellular organisms to divide and to form only 2 daughter cells. Whereas by multiple fission from one unicellular organisms, many daughter organisms are going to be formed. Binary means 2. Fission means getting divided. By getting divided, 2 daughter organisms are formed in binary fission. Multiple means many. Fission means getting divided. By means of division, many daughter organisms are formed in multiple fission. Example, Plasmodium. In Plasmodium, many daughter organisms are formed. Whereas in amoeba, only 2 daughter organisms are formed. In many bacteria also, only 2 daughter organisms are formed. Second question. How will an organism be benefited if it reproduces through spores? Spores are covered with thick walls. So we have learnt about the spore formation by taking the example of a fungus, bread mold or black mold, Rhizopus. Rhizopus, it produces many sporangia, and from each sporangium many spores are released out upon the maturation of the sporangium. And these spores are covered with thick walls, and these walls are made of a special carbohydrate, chitin. Chitin is a mucopolysaccharide. What it is? Muco, M-U-C-O, mucopolysaccharide. So, this is one of the toughest polysaccharides. So, these chitin-made cell walls protect the spores until these spores come in contact with another moist surface and can begin to grow. Means until they find suitable situation, suitable conditions in order to germinate. Okay, these spores can survive in the environment without getting what? Any external damages. Why? Because they are having toughest cell walls, right? Thus, there are more chances of survival of these spores, and thereby the reproductive benefit to the organism that reproduces by spore formation, right? So reproductive benefit is there to the organism, and more survival chances are there for the spores. Third question. Can you think of reasons why more complex organisms cannot give rise to new individuals through regeneration? Regeneration is a process wherein the organism can produce new organisms from the cut pieces of its body. Right? If an organism is accidentally cut into many pieces, from each piece, new organism is produced. That process is called regeneration. And this process of regeneration, we have taken the example of planaria and hydra. The process of regeneration can give rise to new individuals in the multicellular organisms of relatively simple body organization. Yes, it takes place in multicellular organisms only, but these multicellular organisms are having relatively simple structural body organization like planaria, hydra, etc. They contain specialized cells in their body in almost all parts of their body. These specialized cells are able to differentiate and form many other types of cells that are needed to form the complete body of the organisms. So such specialized cells are present throughout the body in various parts of the organism. In complex multicellular organisms, these type of specialized cells which can differentiate into all other types of cells are not present. In complex multicellular organisms, specialized cells called germ cells are produced in special organs called reproductive organs. So, complex organisms cannot give rise the new individuals through regenerations. Why? Because they do not contain the specialized cells from which all other types of cells can be formed. Okay. And they contain what? They produce germ cells in some specialized parts called reproductive parts. Fourth question. Why is vegetative propagation practiced for growing some types of plants? Vegetative propagation is not practiced for all types of plants. It is practiced to grow only some types of plants. Why? Generally, vegetative propagation is practiced in such plants from where we do not get any seeds. From seeds we get the plants. If the plant is not producing seeds, what to do? We have to carry out vegetative propagation. We have to just check for a part from which the new plant can be produced, right? And scientifically it is known fact that vegetatively propagated plants and seed produced plants are there. For example, some plants we can produce both by vegetative propagation and by seed propagation. If we compare these two plants, the vegetatively propagated plants can come to flowering earlier than the normal seed produced plants. So, why to waste time? Okay, let us just go with vegetative propagation so that we can get the flowering faster, by which the product also can be harvested faster. So, in order to just get that one also, sometimes vegetative propagation is carried out, right? By means of seed production, more number of new variations are formed because seeds are produced by sexual reproduction in angiosperms or flowering plants. Whereas by means of vegetative propagation, there is no seed production, and since it is asexual method of reproduction, less number of variations are formed. If you take a plant which has got already best quality of characters in most of the respects, then why to lose those characters? So if we just get the plants by means of normal sexual reproduction, because of addition of new variations, more number of new variations, these characters may be getting affected. So if we get a plant from this best quality characters having plant, if we get the plant by means of normal vegetative propagation, we do not lose any such qualities. Why? Because vegetative propagation is almost like a cloning. The newly produced plant by means of vegetative propagation, it will resemble in most of the respects with its parent plant. So, in order to retain the same beneficial features from the parent plant also, we just carry out this vegetative propagation. And you might have heard of grafting. Okay, so grafting means we just cut one branch or one stem of a particular plant, and you cut another plant branch also, and you join both. In order to get the best qualities of both the plants, we just use this method of grafting and joining. So, this particular method also, it is like a vegetative propagation only, right? So, this is how vegetative propagation is used to grow only some plants. Why is DNA copying an essential part of the process of reproduction? This question is already discussed just now. Anyhow, once again, for your better convenience, let us try to learn it. DNA copying provides a copy of DNA as a blueprint for the body design of progeny organisms. Without this DNA copy, the construction of the body design of progeny organisms is not possible. So, DNA copying is an essential part of the process of reproduction as the basic event of reproduction. The process of DNA copying is the basic event of reproduction. Next, in the end of the chapter, at the last topic, we are having some 2-3 questions. First question, how is the process of pollination different from fertilization? The transfer of pollen from anther to the stigma is known as pollination. Okay. And it takes place externally. Pollination means from outside of that anther, pollen will be moving to the stigma. Stigma is the outer part only, and the surface only it is getting. So it is externally taking place. And pollination can be mediated by wind, water, and various animals like especially insects, birds, snails, bats, etc. Right? Now coming to fertilization. Fusion of male gamete with female gamete, which is also known as egg cell, is called fertilization. Fusion of male gamete with female gamete or egg cell is known as fertilization. And this fertilization occurs internally inside the ovule, and this ovule is present inside the ovary. We all have learned that pistil is a part which contains three parts in it: top stigma, middle stele, at the bottom swollen part, that is ovary. Inside the ovary there are one to many ovules based on the species of the plant. And when pollination takes place, after pollination the pollen grains, they germinate and they form a tube-like structure through the style, and the male gametes is transferred through this pollen tube and it is reaching to the ovules, and male gamete is presented at the mouth of the ovule, and after going inside, this male gamete will be fusing with the egg cell inside the ovule. So this process, the fusion of male gamete with the female gamete, is known as fertilization. Then where does fertilization taking place? Fertilization is taking place internally inside the ovule of the ovary of the pistil. So movement of the male gamete near to the female gamete is mediated by pollen germination and then by the growth of pollen tube inside the stele of the pistil. What is the role of seminal vesicles and the prostate gland? Seminal vesicles and prostate gland, they add their secretions along the path of the vas deferens. Seminal vesicles and prostate gland, they are present at the side of the vas deferens in the male reproductive system, and as the sperms are released from the testis, they start moving in order to get ejaculated. So on their path, on the path of this vas deferens, the seminal vesicles and prostate gland, they add their secretions along the path of the vas deferens. Because of these secretions, sperms get fluidity. Now, as the secretions are released into the vas deferens, now sperms are in fluid nature. As this fluidity is attained, it makes their transport in reaching the egg cell, where they are getting transported to reach the egg cell in the female reproductive tract after the coitus or mating or sexual intercourse. So this makes the fluidity makes the transport of these sperms in reaching the egg cell easier, right? These secretions also provide the nutrition to the sperms. Since the sperms need to spend about 2 to 3 days in the female reproductive tract after the sexual intercourse in the expectation of the release of egg cell so that they can go and fuse with the egg cell and fertilization is carried out. Okay, so for that, until then, in order to be alive, these sperms have to be nourished, and that nourishment or the nutrition is provided by the secretions of the seminal vesicles and the prostate gland. After adding the secretions of this seminal vesicles and prostate gland, the sperms are no more called as sperms, but the total, that liquid is known as semen, right? Okay. And the last question, what are the changes seen in girls at the time of puberty? This is well explained in the starting itself, like increase in the breast size and development of the hair in the armpits and in the genital areas, okay, and increase in the pelvic area in order to accommodate the uterus and the growing embryo. All these things, they are going to take place during the time of puberty in the case of girls, and getting smoothening of their voice also is taking place, right? Okay, hope you have understood very well about this chapter. Try to draw the diagrams of the flower, angiosperm flower. Okay, it's longitudinal section of angiosperm flower, and pollen germination followed by the male and female reproductive systems of human. These three diagrams are very important. You all must draw in your notebooks several times so that even if they are asked in the exam also, you will be able to ready, right? And diagrams will not be explained like how to draw. You are well known about how to draw. Please draw in your notebooks several times. Okay, it's not any request, it's an order. Do it.